Hi folks, well look, thank you very much for coming along this morning. Beside me is Justine Mann, former principal most recently of St Cuthbert's and now chair of the Ministerial Advisory Group behind charter schools. I think what we've just seen is an example of what the charter school movement can be. An idea that started in the community, not in the Ministry of Education, to bring kids into a school that's different and engage them differently so that they can feel a sense of pride and purpose that ultimately leads to achievement. This is just one example. We've had in recent months expressions of interest from, for example, a group of people who would like to re-establish St Stephen's School in South Auckland, actually Auckland's oldest school currently in abeyance, to be re-established as a charter, and also a group named AGE, whose dream is to establish a school that specialises in allowing children who are neurodiverse to participate in education. Altogether, the government in this budget will fund 15 new charter schools intended to open at the beginning of 2026. It's also set aside funding for the conversion of 35 state schools who may wish to take on charter status. And the reason that they would like to do that, and again there's been considerable interest from a wide range of state schools already, is that they wish to have the kind of flexibility and autonomy over their funding to be able to employ without rigid union contracts and to be able to chart their own destiny and run their schools their way. That is the aspiration of many in the state sector. But on the flip side, in New Zealand, nothing matters more than how much knowledge we pass from one generation to the next. We're not doing well at that because we don't actually contract for attendance and achievement outcomes. So besides the flexibility of being able to operate their way, charter schools, whether they be new startups or former state schools, will be contracted on a 10-year basis in order that they have the flexibility and the certainty to plan and develop, but are also required under those contracts to reach achievement and attendance goals. That 10-year contract means real certainty for those who are interested. Over the next few months, you'll see legislation introduced to the House and passed by October. And parallel to that, you'll see expressions of interest by August or September for people that would like to convert state schools to charters. And shortly after that, those who would like to start brand new charter schools ready to be opened at the start of 2026. Obviously, starting a new school is a longer process than one that already exists. So that's a very rough overview of what we are planning, what we're announcing today. In total, in budgetary terms, it's $153 million over 4 years, which overwhelmingly will be used to fund the cost of new charter schools. Conversions will have almost no cost to the Crown because largely the exercise is administrative. It just means that the schools will have more autonomy and more accountability when they operate going forward. The idea that there's a no-holds-bar curriculum is just not a fair assessment of what charter schools will be. They will be required to teach a curriculum that is as good or better than the New Zealand curriculum. And actually that's not unusual. If you look across New Zealand state schools now, we're not far away from Kristen, which teaches the International Baccalaureate. You could go across the bridge to Auckland Grammar, which teaches the Cambridge International Examination. So what I would say is that the government's general thrust is we are going to demand higher standards. Charter schools will be the only schools that actually contract that and say if you don't do it, your funding is at risk and you may ultimately be closed down. There may well be state schools that are not performing that are turned into charter schools, and the question. Well, I think the question is who is forced. I'm more interested. So you're thinking about the school. I'm thinking about the community and the students around it. The question is how do we get them a school that's going to get better educational outcomes, not only for those children to flourish, but actually for New Zealand as a whole to flourish. So you can put your emphasis on the management of a school that is failing its community. I put my emphasis on that community and how do we get them better education. Well, the government has budgeted for up to 35 to convert in term 1, 2025. What will happen in future budgets? That's a 4-year budget cycle, but of course there'll be a budget next year, and I hope that come this time next year there will have been considerable success in the first term of conversions. There'll be considerable interest from state schools wishing to convert, and we'll be standing here or somewhere like it next year talking about a budget for a lot more state schools to convert at the start of 2026.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. To stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald, click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.